Well, I don't know what I want to talk about on this. I do have a general idea of what I want to talk about. But I just want to say that first and foremost is that I love y'all, all of my so-called black people. I do. And I'm not just saying it for the camera. You know what I'm saying? I really mean that. I don't play with words. Um, I don't. I don't. I just don't do that. I don't believe in sticking. When I first came to YouTube back in 2013, or before 2000, matter of fact, I dedicated to my people as far as I can remember. I always had a desire. Is I said for my own people. I said I wanted to do something for my people, for my community, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I was in 2005 saying this, and way before um, YouTube ever existed, way before any social media, before a social media was ever thought of, before we even came into this in the era of YouTube. This was way before the era of YouTube. You know, I was always saying that I wanted to do something to get my people together. Yeah, I remember back in 2005 when I was in the Seventh Day Adventist Church and I was in Georgia. We had moved from Louisiana, from up here in Louisiana to Georgia back in 2004. I remember I had the same the mindset. I always had a mindset that I was always like drawn to my people. You see what I'm saying? Um, I used to always, back when I was in my 30s, it, you know what I'm saying, when I was actually seeking, looking for like a young lady that I can be with or something like that, it was always black women, most for the more than likely black women. You know what I'm saying? But and I was rejected most of the whole time. But I throwed out a little hatred and resentment and little harsh hatred and stuff because of the way that they, how can I say this in? I got rejected by them and I perceived it and I responded weak. Yes, I gave weak responses, which I regret. But I as I came into this truth in 2018, even more so as I gotten older and as I came into this truth, and I heard the brothers on YouTube break down the curses in Deuteronomy 28, and it talked about the man and the woman being against, hating each other and having an evil eye toward each other. Then that's when I started to realize, like, it calmed me more down. And when, as I got, or even if I get rejected by a woman now, which I don't, it would hurt me. I would feel bad. I would really be hurt. I would really be devastated. I'm not gonna lie, it'll bother me, but it won't bother me as much because I understand the slave syndrome and I understand all of that. I guess when I came into this truth, I guess that might be why I can relate to it so much. You know what I'm saying? Because when you go through something, being rejected by a female, a black female, especially your own black woman or whatever, it and I'm not down talking to sisters. I love the sisters, and it didn't stop. It don't. Nothing is never going to stop my nature from having the love for the so-called black woman. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, no, never, no. I would never stop. No way in nowhere in the world's history that I would ever go against my so-called black woman, a so-called black man. You know what I mean? Because that's what we come from. You see what I'm saying? So, what else? Um, yes, like I said, when I came into this truth, now people look at me like I had a young brother, a little young brother looked at me. I guess should I say what evil eye, whatever, coming out of the Arab stove, it bothered me, but it didn't bother me as bad. You see what I'm saying? Because I realize that a lot of our people is suffering from all of these syndromes, and it's slavery. You see what I'm saying? That's what it is, and we know that that's what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. There's no way around. There's no way of getting around it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. That's what it is. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to essence get mad because I inflict and take it all back to Esau. Esau, you know what I mean? The so-called white man. I wouldn't. What would I look like? You know what I'm saying? It's just interesting and how people, you know what I mean, how we worship. Okay, here's my question too. I hear all this outrage about the stars, about our black stars. I love them. God bless them. You know what I mean? May the God of Israel continue to keep having his hands upon them. But why is it that we need to be outraged about Mr. George Floyd? You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That those are the ones that we need to go up against, not each other. You see what I'm saying? But we love the ones that's in our community selling us rats and whatever else you want to call them. But we hate the ones that's trying to wake us up and blow the trumpet. The one that really love us, we shit on them. But we should go against the ones that's killing our people. Because last I checked, we ain't less we need to get on the bigger ones that's causing all the pain. So I'm not gonna come on here. If anybody think of the other race of people think I'm coming on here to degrade my own people, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child, y'all got another thing coming. I'm gonna use this platform is to call out the BS of them. You see what I'm saying? Because my people didn't create these problems, the problems that our people have now. The biggest enemy that created these problems is the so-called white man, Esau, not my people. So what the hell would I look like sitting up here blaming something on my own people? That's stupid. Yes, I get my brothers looking at me or my sister. I've been guilty of it at one time before I came into this truth. But once I learned better, I'm starting to trying to do better. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna sit up here and say I'm not exempt from doing it. But you think I'm gonna sit up here and get on my camera and make an ass or make a fool of myself and sit up here and just down and just put this blame on my people? I'm not putting none of this. I'm not put. Why would I put? I don't put any of the blame on my people. Why? Because my people, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American people, which are the real Jews according to the Bible, they did not create none of these problems that our people face now. Because our people, when they came over here, and in the French, the British, the Spaniards, the Germans, or whoever the people is, the Irish, the Greeks, and all these people, the Greeks, which are all white people, so-called Caucasian people, they came over here and they colonized my people, my forefathers and foremothers and things of that nature. They did these things to our people. So they created the problem. If you look at all you gotta do is just look at the history. of Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was a Spaniard. You know, the Spaniards, Spain. Spain is a it had they are the ones who play the hands in the slave trade. Definitely, Germany, and Spain. All of them had they all had a piece of the pie. They all had a hand in doing these things to our people. So what in the hell? I would look like a damn fool getting on my YouTube camera going against my own people. That's stupid. You blame the one that created the problem. It's just like if this house get burnt down up in here, them people ain't gonna be trying to find out. Let's say, no. If you go and rob a bank and you with with these people, they even within themselves, the person that ain't do nothing wrong, they end up giving them the worst end of the stick. You see what I'm saying? That it's like when people go to saying things like, well, you can't blame white people for everything, for black people's problems and this and that and the third. You can't do this and you can't do that. It's what you're basically saying. You're saying we're not gonna hold Esau, the so-called white man, accountable for what they have done. When you sit up and say it's not about race, because I hear a lot of people say that when I be watching a lot of the YouTube videos, they make me sick with that. It's like what they're doing is, well, it's not about race, it's all about love. They get on their cameras and like the Hebrew brothers be trying to break things down. Why you won't show love to your people? You're showing hate. You're racist. You're this and that and the third and all that kind of stuff. So what you want me to do? Just sit up here and excuse y'all dirty people for so-called white people, excuse the Caucasian man for the rape, rob, and murder that they commit? Is that what y'all want me to do? Y'all's people, y'all ancestors created the problems that our people go through. Our people is the one that's suffering from slave syndrome. But when we talk about it, y'all got to rip our cameras down and excuse me, our platform down. Oh, I don't like what you said, even though you said the truth. I'm gonna rip it down. Y'all wrong for that. Y'all are wrong. And then y'all took my YouTube channels. I had about 4 YouTube channels or 5 YouTube channels. They took them down. They took my platform down from years ago. I had about 4 channels or 5 channels that YouTube and even here that they took down. And I tell, do you know that you have, when you standing up 5 people, they'll turn around and they will glorify and get a thrill out of the so-called white man taking our channels down. All because I'm speaking out. That's just like if I get on here and say something about the injustice that happened to Mr. George Floyd. Everybody, instead of them saying, you know what, you got a point. Because we don't go around hurting nobody. We don't do that. We don't go around here doing none of that stuff. So when people go around and they go to saying, well, I don't see color. I don't see color. What do you mean you don't see color? Okay, last I checked, Mr. George Floyd just got killed. This didn't happen back in the 90s. This didn't happen in the early 2000s. This is happening in the middle part of this is like almost 16 years later. And a man by the name of George Floyd still got murdered in the streets. The so-called white man didn't have no mercy up on Mr. George Floyd being murdered in the streets. They didn't. They didn't have no mercy, no none of that. We're not going around here. We are the most peacefulest people on the planet. We're not going around here hurting and harming people for no damn reason. The Bible says that Esau is a cunning hunter, a man of the field. But Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. I can speak for myself. I don't if I got my like my parts where I can browse and go on, get online on the internet, get on YouTube and all this type of stuff, and can do all this stuff. I like I like YouTube, and create. Right, these are not the only videos that I do, but I do create other videos. But these are the main ones that I do too. You see what I'm saying? And as long as I got my food and got all what I need, I don't be wanting to go nowhere. I got that. I'm chilling at home. Last couple of weeks, I ain't hardly been nowhere. I went out today and took care of some business, but for the most part, I took care. It took me a couple of hours to do so, but I couldn't wait to get back home. I be wanting to sit at home and chill. Me, it's sometimes if it's cold outside or well if it's hot, I ain't gonna go. I said, well, I'm not gonna go out there in the heat or whatever. I ain't gonna do that. But I am gonna, unless I'm going over to some people's house, a couple of my friends to chill or something. My so-called black people as my friends. If I have a couple of so-called black people like myself, like go around and talk to my people or whatever. And, I say, well, I'm gonna get out the house. I'm bored. I'm gonna go there and sit there and chill with them. I'll do that. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna just like go out in the streets and just look for some people to target. And no, that's not even. We don't even talk about shit like that. You know what I mean? Like going and just harassing another person for no reason. Because by nature we are the peaceableest people on the planet. You see what I'm saying? And we just don't. As long as I got my food, got my internet, my probably I say movies, and got my good videos to look at, or just want to watch a little TV or something like that. And I got my snacks and stuff like that. I ain't gonna want to go nowhere. Hell, I'm gonna stay at home and chill. You know, call my family members or something like that up, and just chill with them sometime. You know what I'm saying? Or they may call us or call me sometime, and their family be saying, "Oh, so and so on the phone want to speak to you." You know what I'm saying? And I just sit on the phone and talk. I talk for a few minutes. Um, I'm not really a phone person like that. I mean, I talk now. If we talking um, on educating each other about something like that, then I'm good. Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna sit up there but just to sit on there and just say, "Oh, let me tell you what so and so did." No, I'm not with that. You know, but I enjoy talking about Black love. I enjoy speaking in behalf of our people in a positive manner, uplifting them, because our people go through so much. So that's why I say I'm not gonna sit up here and just degrade my own people when our people is the biggest. We are the biggest target on this planet. We are the biggest people. We are the number one top people on the planet that get harassed on a day-to-day basis a lot of time. It may not be in the same way you get it, but we do get it. You know what I'm saying? I remember the time I done went in the store and they had asked, "Can I see your receipts?" Looking in my basket to see if I put something extra in the bag. And I'm like, "What's the problem?" And I end up cussing the so-called white man out. I said, and I just told them about themselves. Yeah, it's something. It's something when it comes to a man of color, you know. But I'm not gonna sit up here and put the blame on my people for something that what would I look like? That's just like if I created problems and then I turn around, somebody come in here and blame them of the problems that I created when I created the problems about the confusion in the home. And then you sit up there and be like, well, um, it's not really about race. I don't see color. I don't care. They'll say things like, to me, I don't care what color you is. I don't care what this and that and the third. I don't care if you white, black. That and when I people say that, it's like, man, sit down. You know what I mean? Like, come on, get away from that. So what they actually doing, they are actually saying that, you know, when they say things like, well, it's not about color. What you're saying is, well, I really don't want you to say that. I really don't want the so-called white man is to be held accountable, is what you're saying. No, don't hold them accountable. I don't want them to be, even though I know they're wrong in what they're doing, you let the Most High deal with. But at the same time, I just feel like you just should just don't hold them accountable. That's what they're saying. What nation of people conquered the Native Americans? Okay, I see something about the 16 in there. Native Americans and the colonization, the 16th and 17th centuries. From a Native American perspective, the initial intentions of Europeans were not always immediately clear. Some Indians communities were approached with respect in the terms greeting the odd-looking visitors as guests. For many indigenous nations, however, that the first impression of Europeans were characterized by violent acts, including raiding, murder, rape, kidnapping. Perhaps the only broad generalizations possible for the cross cultural interactions of this time and place is that every group, whether indigenous or colonizer, either or common female or male elder or child response based on their past experiences, their cultural expectations, and their mandate circumstances. The Southwest Indians, although Spanish colon expedience to the southwest had begun in 1540. The statement's efforts north of the Rio Grande did not begin in the earliest until 1598. At that time, the agricultural Peebo Indians lived in some 70 compact towns, while the hunterlands were home to the nomadic Niva Jaws, that might be wrong, and others whose foregoing economics were of little interest to the Spanish. Although the groups raiding I don't even know what the hell that is. I'm just going to like kind of like go back over it, but all of this is actually going into how they actually took this country and things of that nature. Yeah. So you can't blame um, you can't really blame. You can't put the blame on the so-called black man and the black woman at all. You know, you can't do it. Okay, do Exodus. Hold on. Exodus chapter 21 and verse 16. The Bible says, "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." Okay, so let's go to Genesis. The Bible says, this is Job talking. "For indeed I was stolen out of the land of the Hebrews, and there also have and there also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon." See that? Don't that sound like this is Joseph in the Bible? And I'm gonna take time and I'm gonna read that story a little bit more tomorrow. He says, listen to this hand. For uh, Genesis chapter 40 and verse 15. "For indeed I was stolen out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing." See, our people, a lot of times they don't do nothing. We just be harassed on the streets, and everything that happens to our people, being going to prison for things that we didn't do, he said that they should put me into. He said, "I haven't done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon." And what Joseph, Joseph's master's wife accused Joseph of raping them. You see what I'm saying? Because she said, "See, thou hast brought in." Here it is, right here. Now, here. Let me tell you, this is the lie, and I want people to understand that with a lot of the stuff that happens to our people, uh, we ain't caused none of this. Listen to what the Bible says here. Genesis 39 and verse 7. "And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me." It didn't say Joseph said, "Come on, I want to be with you." It didn't say that. It says, "It came to pass as his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me." It didn't say, "and he said." It said, "And she," S-H-E, she said, "Lie with me." But he refused. That means he said, "Hell no. No, you that man, you know." But he refused and said unto his master's wife, "Behold, my master wrought not what is with me in the house, and he had kept and he had commanded all that he had unto my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither has he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her, or to be with her. He didn't want. They said, "You this man's wife. I don't want you." But she was not a Hebrew that did this. It said, and it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house within. And she caught him by his garment, talking about his fringes, and said, "Lie with me." And he left his garment in her hand, and fled and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and was fled forth, that she called unto the man of her house. You know how some women do. That's evil. And spake unto them, saying, "See, thou hast brought in Hebrew." Wow. Sound like a lot of how they hate the so-called Hebrews today. He brought in Hebrew unto us to mark us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. Now she had just by us reading this story, this should piss us off when we see a so-called white woman. It should literally, let me tell you something, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child, and all this. The so-called white man is our enemy. They are your enemy. They hate us. I seen, especially them Spaniards, they hate us. They'll look at you with an evil eye. They just look at, they just, I think I've experienced that. I think up here at this, I could be wrong, but I think, all of them people that look Mexican, a lot of them people be Spaniards. Because now I still could be wrong. Tell me what y'all think if y'all get this video in the comment section. It said, and it came to pass when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to, now think about it. All this shit should go through your mind about Bill Cosby, and all these other people. When we read this Bible and look at this Bible is real. When we read this Bible and look at all this stuff in this Bible and hear all that, we should look at the news and laugh at it. We should literally look at the news and say, this is bullshit. And she spake unto him, saying, according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant, which thou hast brought in unto us, came unto me to mark me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. Now he got angry. He listening to this woman. And Joseph's masters took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. Let's go to Revelation real quick. Let's see. Let's read. I think I'm close by it. Here we go. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. Look what the Bible said. Fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thy faith unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Now let's go to Revelation chapter 12 and verse 10. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 10. I think I'm saying, it says, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God, to my Israel, and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brother is cast down, which accuses them before our God day and night. Did the enemy just accuse Joseph of raping her? Yeah. That sounds like a lot of what's going on in our world today. Like, if you go back and look right here at this story, look what it says. It says that she called unto the, okay, let's look, okay, right here. It said, and he, whoa, wait, I just want to make sure I got the full context of it. It says, it said that she, okay, here we go. I'll read this right here. Genesis chapter 40 and verse 15. For indeed I was stolen out of the land of the Hebrews, and there also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. All right. He said they should put him into the dungeon. Yeah. So my point in reading that is that you can't blame our people for something that they didn't do. That, you know what I'm saying? We didn't do this yet. So I can't sit up here and blame our people and say it's their fault, because our people are not contributed to what's going on with them. You know what I mean? How you gonna blame something on somebody when they created the problem that our people are dealing with? Let's go to Exodus chapter 21 and 16. Here we go. It says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Let's find out which man. Yeah, contact the dead going on. Yeah. Where's scripture at? Here's a scripture. Where's scripture? Sometimes you can forget scripture. So I wished I had one of those Bibles that you can just actually just read and every script will be right there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard. That maybe that's why a lot of people take and they highlight scriptures in the Bible. As soon as you have it in your mind, it can easily slip you really quick. You be like, damn, I was on point with this here too, you know? But you got some people that's real good with them, but they go flip, flip. They can find them real quick. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Somebody, I don't know what they mean. They're talking about contacting the dead going wrong. I don't know what they mean. But okay, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 15 and 12, I believe. Deuteronomy 15 and 12. It says, and if thy brother an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free. That's talking about how to treat your Hebrew brother, because in the that's what I'm dealing with. But you can't blame black people or our people for all the problems that we're dealing with. Notice that when you try to speak the truth about certain things, have you noticed that people will come in your life, they'll hear a little bit and they'll hear up and jump off. But as long as you sitting up lying to people, they ain't gonna they'll fill up your lives. You'll have 100,000 subscribers. If I got in my thing and I just spoke out against my own people, I have 100,000 subscribers in the morning. Because people is attracted to wrong stuff. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about loving your people and actually being there for your people, doing this and that, and you don't go against your people. No, I noticed since I've been on YouTube for 8 years, I've been noticing that. I really have. I noticed that. And it teaches you something that when you ain't in them certain cliques and stuff, then you start seeing a difference. Because when you talk about actually, I love my brother and my sister, people ain't trying to hear nothing like that. You know, they trying to hear wrong stuff. You know, they trying to hear stuff like you, you threatening your brother, your sister, and you talk about threatening them and putting their addresses out and all that kind of stuff. You go, oh yeah, I like that. I want to entertain that. And because I see it all on YouTube. Yep, they will. I mean, that's how it is. And I ask myself sometimes, I'll be like, man, why is that? You know, like what makes wrong acts so entertaining? Like to the point of where if you talk about loving your brother and your sister, and your black brothers and your black sisters, and you talking about you're not talking about hating them or that, then people be like, oh no, it's like you don't want a nasty raw diet. Most of us, it's just like a diet. Nah, this ain't got no salt. It's not seasoned with salt. I don't want this here. I don't want that. I want me something seasoned. You see what I'm saying? And to be in the mess and be part of the mess is considered seasoned to them. That's more entertainment. It tastes better. You know, it tastes better when you're talking about somebody's family. It tastes better when you gossiping. It tastes better when you're actually talking about hating your people. It tastes better when you get on here and go against your own people and call your own people evil and sit up and praise the so-called white man and do all those things. All those things is very attractive to the enemy. But when you start talking about things that's going to expose the enemy and expose his tricks and his lies and stuff, oh, we got to take him down. Boom. You see what I'm saying? Do you know people, you actually have some people that will sit up and make a career off of actually and getting rich off of degrading and talking down their own people, our own people. When you take and put a black woman in the dust, a so-called black woman, a so-called black man in the dust, and you talk down to them, you're gonna get a career off of that. Now, why? Like the hell with all of that. You see what I'm saying? That's basically what I'm trying to say is how people can love material things and sell their soul and sell their people out for something like that. That's crazy. It's like everything is just evolves around being messy and no good and just being outright internet. When you get on here and say, like, y'all need to stop, though, like they'll say things like, the so-called white man don't owe you a damn thing. He don't owe y'all nothing. He don't owe you nothing. They worked hard for what they got and stop blaming the white man. In other words, what you're really saying is you're watering down and want people to ignore the stuff that we go through. But actually, what you're doing, you're saying that I don't want so-called white people and the Arab man and the African man that sold our people to the so-called white man. I don't want them to be held accountable. That's why they can say, "Oh, I don't see color. I don't see color." I look at you. It doesn't matter what color you is. It doesn't matter what so and so you is. It doesn't matter this and that and the third. When what they really doing is that we're not gonna hold. We just gonna ignore it and pretend like it don't exist. and not hold them accountable for what they're doing. You're saying, no, I don't want to hold so-called white people, Esau, accountable for what they have done. Everybody's outraged about that, but shouldn't we be outraged about George Floyd? George Floyd is our brother, you know? So that's what we should be going after. You see what I'm saying? Because guess what? We ain't going out there. We are the most peaceablest people on the planet. We don't go around trying to kill and hurt nobody. And even I noticed that when we get around them, it's in our nature to actually be peaceful with the people that tries to be peaceful with us, the so-called white people. You see what I'm saying? We never went around and hurt nobody. We never went around and killed them. We don't, it's just not part of us. You know? It's not. It's not part of us. We don't have that in our nature to hate them and you know, like they be hating us and stuff. But when you call them out, they've knocked down about 4 or 5 of my channels over the years. Like I did back in 2019, before 2019, a channel that I had back in 2011, I created it. Well, a friend of mine did. I put videos on that, and then they knocked my channel down because I was speaking. I did a video about what the German Hitler did and all of that, and for some reason that video they spam that video as hate speech, everything, and the audience, they says watching this content can be very graphic. Either they spammed it as hate speech and they took it down. And before I know it, they took my whole channel down. You know? Yeah, they'll do it, man. That's how it is in the YouTube world. When you gossiping about other people and stuff, that stuff is seasoned. It's seasoned. They likes that. They love entertaining that. But when you talk about, hey man, I have love for you, brother. I have love for you, sister. I don't want you to go this way. I want you to keep the commandments and come back to your God. Oh, here, I don't want to hear that. Because it's not seasoned. It's like a person that don't want to eat salads. They want to eat meat and stuff. You know? You know how it is. Like, oh no, I got to have me some meat. You know? Oh, I got to have me some meat. I can't be eating no rubber. You know? Like most of us, we don't like diet. The diet sometimes is the best thing. You know, we don't want it a lot of times. Sometimes eating a diet is boring sometimes, right? A lot of us we want a that salty diet, you know, and this is how it is when it comes to things being posted on social media and all that kind of stuff. If it ain't got a lot of drama in it and stuff, people ain't gonna subscribe to it because controversy sells. Controversy definitely sells. Mess, no good, evil, fighting, backbiting, fighting, and all that kind of stuff, it sells. But when you talk, for some reason, when you talk about loving your people and being positive and being genuine and you know stuff like that, hell, you boring. They ain't want to subscribe to that. They'll label you as lame. But I'm gonna head up out of here, and we'll come back and I'll talk a little bit more about this. It's crazy out here. All right, I'll see y'all later.